right, welcome back. It is time now for Your World, and of course today it's all about the digitization of insurance services. And of course we want to understand how motorists can be empowered by the same. And of course to help us with that conversation we have Mr. William Kiama, who's the General Insurance Manager from the Association of Kenya Insurers. Thank you very much for making time for us this morning. Can we just get to understand, first of all, insurance, right? In general, what is it? What are some of the different types of insurance that we have, and why it is important, for all of us to know and understand about insurance?
So I think insurance is basically a contract where one party, that is the insurance company, agrees to compensate another party who is now the person who is insured after payment of some amount of money that we normally refer to as premium. So this money is paid in advance, then it is put in a pool or in a basket, where from that basket now we're able to tap. When one of us has an accident or has a misfortune, then we pick some money from that basket and pay that person who has a misfortune. It is basically the ordinary harambe, which is done in advance.
Okay.
The way we do a harambe for a person who has a misfortune, this one we do a harambe in advance.
All right. Yeah. But at an individual level, if we can say that?
Yeah, probably like an individual level. Yeah,
right.
At an individual level, yes.
Okay.
We put the money together from other people, and then whoever has a misfortune, we pay from that kitty.
Pay from the kitty.
Yes.
All right. How are we doing as a country in terms of the uptake of insurance for whatever service that is there? How are we doing?
We are not doing very well in terms of uptake.
Okay.
The penetration is about 2.3%.
Very little.
In this country,
little.
It's very low. But we're trying our best from where we sit at the association level. We are trying our best to increase penetration of insurance.
Yeah.
Right now, we are trying to develop a portal where you will have all insurance company visibility of all insurance company at from one point, and then people will be able to buy easily from the portal. That is the step that we're taking currently.
Okay.
Just in an attempt to increase that level of penetration.
Yeah, the penetration.
Yes.
So the question is why? Why the 2.3%, which is, in a country of what, over 50 million people? 2.3% is very little. Why do you think there's either hesitancy or people are not taking insurance services? Well,
we have done several studies concerning just to try and establish why we have a low penetration, but basically it's the level of income in the country. But we are not doing badly compared to the region.
Okay.
Compared to in Africa, I think we are among we can boast to be among the top. But but generally, worldwide, we are not doing very well. South Africa is leading very far from the front.
Yeah.
But then in the region, in the East African region, we are the best. But basically, what we're trying to do to increase penetration is to do a lot of public education, try to develop micro insurance products, because uptake might increase with development of micro insurance products.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Isn't that concerning? Like, fine, we are the top, especially when it comes to the region, but still the number is relatively low. So then what does that say about the knowledge and the reception as far as insurance is concerned, not only in the country but really across the region? What exactly does that say based on the figure? At 2.3%, and we are the leading in the region concerning her.
We have seen that kind of a scenario even in schools, where you get a kid from a local school out there being the lead, but when you bring them to, let's say, like Alliance High School, they become the rust. So it's basically worldwide insurance. They normally say insurance is sold, and not bought.
All
so
right.
You basically have to explain to the people how it's going to help you, and then a small mistake, maybe from one company, it becomes a mistake of everybody selling insurance.
Yeah.
So sometimes people don't get to trust the insurance, or they don't get, it is a promise for a future, to make a payment in the future.
Yeah.
And that is what, it's not like any item that you may go to the shop and say, this is a glass of water, I'm buying this glass of water, and I know I'm going away with it.
Right.
Insurance is just the promise that you'll be carrying. So if anybody if one of the companies, probably for one reason or the other, does not pay a claim, then it becomes a big issue.
Yeah, for the people. As they say, once bitten, twice shy, and most people will take that literally.
Exactly. exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
And of course, we'll talk about, you know, the whole aspect about regulation, as well as IRA. You know, what, I mean, AKI, sorry,
Yes,
not
AKI.
IRA. And of course, the whole question about then, so how do we, you know, make sure that we close these gaps when it comes to policies and regulations and that. But then the question on the different types of insurance that are available and the level of awareness as far as people are concerned, how do they know, or how much do they know about insurance covers? Can we just talk about then the different types of insurance that we have available?
We have quite a good number of insurances available. We have what we refer to personal insurances. Basically, those are insurances that are taken by the ordinary person. And we have for the commercial insurances. This will be for organizations like NTV, like the association also has got its own insurance policies and all that. But basically, looking at the key thing that people are mainly aware of, the motor insurance, we have the two classes that are very popular. One is what we call the third-party insurance, and we also have the comprehensive insurance. Third-party insurance will basically be covering, will be cover for other persons, not yourself, the other persons. For example, if traveling, when you're traveling in a matatu, for example, there's that insurance that is covering you, and even the pedestrians who may be injured while traveling in that vehicle. So if, for example, if the vehicle has an accident, the motor vehicle will not be repaired because it is on third-party insurance. So it is covering all the other parties except the owner of the vehicle. So that means that you go and repair your vehicle, but if anybody is injured in that vehicle, then they are compensated by that insurance.
By the insurance, okay.
On the other side, when you have the comprehensive, that is when now it covers the third parties and it also cover the motor vehicle. So the motor vehicle will be repaired, or anybody who is injured in that accident, then they will also be compensated. So that is the key difference between the third party and the insurance.
And the comprehensive. And of course, there's usually a lot of conversation around third-party insurance, right? And we see this a lot, mostly in what commercial, you know, vehicles. As far as third-party is concerned, and one might ask then, why provide that instead of just issuing one, and that is comprehensive, and that's it?
One, we have the law regulating the insurance. We have what we call the Chapter 405 of the laws of Kenya. That is the one that makes it mandatory for everybody to take insurance cover wherever you have a motor vehicle on the road. So being a mandatory requirement, and the wisdom there was because the registrators found it necessary because if, for example, you caused an accident and then you have like 10 people that are supposed to be compensated, each person probably say is $1 million bob, so that means 10 million. You would not be able to cough the 10 million from your pocket. So that is why they thought it was necessary for us to have a mandatory insurance so that whenever an accident occurs, then people do not go uncompensated. There is a company that is going to come through and compensate them rather than now going to the individual. Because if you go for the individual, then you will just have to put them in civil jail because they will not be able to raise that 20 million immediately. The only option will be put them in jail, and then you will not have sorted the problem. So there is that law that regulates, that requires that everybody who is using a motor vehicle would be insured. So the other part, the comprehensive part, that is now the optional. It's to cover your own interest. But this other one, the third party, covers the interest of the people of Kenya.
All right. And even so, I mean, and like I said, we'll talk about the whole aspect of regulation and policies a little bit later. But majority of the people would say, fine, the insurance is there, right? But then when it comes to compensation is where there's a very big, you know, issue. Most of the time it's either delayed or some people don't get compensated at all. So the question is, the law is there, the regulations are there, but still the enactment of the same is where, you know, we have a very big issue, you know, on the same. So the question is, why? Because the law is there, everything is there, you know, the ground has been laid, but then again, you know, we don't see some people either delayed or never compensated at all.
Yeah, we have seen that. We have seen those kind of delays. For example, you see like there is an accident that occurred in 2018. People have not been compensated to date. It's basically because, you know, the third-party insurance, the third-party person who is injured does not have a contract with the insurance company. So it is a legal process that goes through where somebody has to go to court so that you make a claim. If you are third party, for example, you go to court, you make a claim, then the court process is delay reaching and judgment. So it may take, like I'm saying, the 2018 cases, you still have them uncompensated, and this is because the court process has not ended. But I think we are happy now with the establishment of the small claims court. There are some small claims courts that have been established, and those ones are making court matters move a bit faster, and I think we are happy about now the level of compensation. However, there might be a case, one or two, where you find a judgment has been made, there's been some delay in settlement. The insurance regulatory authority comes in handy to assist members of the public to get those issues sorted as soon as possible. Exactly. Okay. Yes.
All right. And again, still on commercial vehicles, right? There's usually the question of excess. Right? So can we first of all just get to understand what exactly is excess? And of course, there's the question of why would people need the excess protector?
In simple terms, what I would call the excess is an amount that is set, an amount that is set for you to pay whenever you cause an accident. So that amount is put to so as to make sure that somebody takes the responsibility also. You don't just drive around and knowing that I have somewhere where I'm going to lodge my claim. You're driving also making sure that your vehicle is not does not cause an accident, so that you are not called upon to contribute your portion. So we basically say, for example, I will insure you at 90. The excess for us for a private car is like 2.5%. For a commercial vehicle is about 5%. So for a commercial vehicle, I would say I'm insuring you 95%, and you yourself, you will be insuring 5%. So we are insuring this vehicle together. So whenever there is an accident, I'll call you to make your contribution of the 5%, and also I will contribute the 95%. If it's a private vehicle, I will call you to contribute your 2.5, I will contribute my 97.5%. And this is basically to just put in some sense that you don't bring
some sense of responsibility to the people, to the person,
and also when you have a small claim, you don't just come and say, let's say it's an indicator that has been broken. You don't just come and say, oh, I have this indicator broken, I will need it compensated. If a claim is below the excess, then you don't lodge a claim. So that eliminates the very small scratch or something like that. Those claims are eliminated using the excess now.
The person can just take care of that and make a little bit easier on both sides. But what necessitated that? What necessitates the excess?
It's basically to have a sense of responsibility, and also to ensure that you don't come. Claim processing also has got its own cost. So if, for example, I am to process a claim of a scratch, I'll need to send somebody that we call an assessor to come and assess the damage. I'll pay them some amount. So I may end up spending a lot of money, more than the amount that you should have used to repair that damage. So that is basically, you take care for the small accidents, so that then we don't have that round of so many claims coming through, and the damage is minimal. Is minimal,
something that you could easily take care of.
So if a damage of like 5,000, and I'm calling in an assessor to do an assessment, I pay them 7,500 for the assessment. You see, it doesn't make commercial
financial sense. All right. And of course, the question would be why I asked what necessitated the same. Is it because of like there are those notorious people who, I mean, simple things like you said, a scratch here here, they would easily go harm and you know, request compensation for the same. And most of the time, you'd find that maybe they're the ones at fault, right? Yeah, they're supposed to, instead of just taking care of if they go harm on the insurance and all those things, just to make sure that that is taken care of. But at the same time, of course, the motor vehicle owners would at some point complain and say, listen, so we make these contributions, right? And we pay our dues, make sure that everything is settled. But then again, when it comes to us accessing the services is where the problem is, or some have actually been duped, you know, of the same. So then, because of the different insurance companies that we have, you know, out here. So then the question is, how do we make sure that, you know, the motor vehicle owners, either private or commercial, still have access to, you know, the services that they require? And this is as far as the insurance services is concerned. But at the same time, the move as far as digitization, you know, of insurance services is concerned. Why and what are some of the steps, and you know, at the same time, you know, how do we get there, and have people embraced the whole aspect of digitization, you know, of insurance services? Of course, all that is coming up after the break. Stay with us. This is Your World. But if you have more questions surrounding the same, and that is as far as insurance, motor insurance is concerned, feel free to engage with us. Give us a call if you have a question directly for Mr. William Kiema, who's here to answer all your questions as far as digitization of insurance services. But still, if you have any other question in regards to the same, again, the numbers are down on your screen, or better yet, get in touch with us on our social media platforms at NTV Kenya, and we'll be responding to all your questions after the break. Stay with us.
Karibuni sana, karibuni. Niwauzie?
Ugali matumbo batia mimi.
Ugali matumbo eh! Na wewe?
Ipe wali maragwe.
Wali? Eh! Wewe, mchele madando hapo. Eh?
Nilikuwa nataka kaomena na kadoma.
Customer, usijali, chakula yako tutakutengenezea kwa ajili yako tu.
Maisha yako, mapendeleo yako. Tunukiwa na Safaricom. Chagua bei yako ya kupiga simu au data. Piga *444# au utembelee My Safaricom app upate deal poa ya kupiga simu. Uongee zaidi au ubrowse zaidi.
Nataka chapati na crips.
Mala sausage.
Nataka ugali na
My name is Norman Mudipo, former NTV business anchor and also a reporter, currently a communications consultant with App Exporter Novelli. I was among the few who were privileged to attend the Man Cave, which was sponsored and led by Nation Media Group. I think for me, it was the first ever, the real first ever men's conference. And I know there's been all this talk around men not talking. But I think for me, that needs to change because men talked. Maybe not everyone, but men talk. And I just want to encourage men to talk because that's how you're going to cope with the stresses, with the challenges of life. The same way like the women do. So I think for me, it was an eye-opener. It was a watershed moment, and looking forward to more conversations, more sharing of experiences in February 2023.
Tell me, what is it? I thought everything was ready. The wedding, the honeymoon, what else did we miss?
Where we're going to live, for example.
Oh.
I spoke to your mother, but I don't want to be a bother to her. I really don't want to live in someone else's home. Maybe for a while, but not forever. And well, I don't see any interest on your part for us to live on our own.
Lorenza, please, don't be childish.
I am just telling you that I'm aware it was you who actually ruined all my dates.
No, that's not true. I saved you from adultery, and this is work-related. So how do I look? Don't you think I look so debonair?
Yes. Yes, so debonair. From the 50s.
It had to be you.
Crystal Rivers Residences, the future of fine living.
This December on NTV Investigates, we expose the rot in Kenya's coffee sector and how business executives have been smiling all the way to the bank as farmers languish in poverty.
You are a slave of somebody who makes money.
Where we had said marketing agents will stop here, the minister went and extended their term for 1 year. And the Attorney General then told him, no, this is irregular and illegal.
The right to own property. It is anchored in our constitution, but nobody should take that without due compensation.
Was it self-sabotage against government-initiated reforms in the coffee industry? Black Gold Heist with NTV's Ibrahim Karanja, only on NTV.
Japo tuna tofauti,
kila moja wetu ana sauti. Stop the bus. Tuinuane, ushirikiano wetu. Tuinuane, na ukaribu wetu. Tuinuane, tuinuane. Tuko pamoja, maishani. Tuinuane.
tuko pamoja maishani, tuinuane.
All right, welcome back. Glad you're still with us. Of course, the show is Your World, and today it's all about empowering motorists, and this is through the digitization of insurance services. And of course, earlier on, we're talking about, insurance. We talked about third party as well as comprehensive and also excess. All right, so probably if you are a car owner, both private or commercial, you need to really understand about excess and why you actually need it. And of course, Mr. William Kiama, General Insurance Manager at the Association of Kenya Insurance, is here to help us really understand more on the same. But there's also something else, and that is on riders on motor insurance, right? Can we just get to understand what exactly that is?
Oh yes, we have some kind of insurance that is issued with some riders. For example, you have taken a comprehensive cover.
All right.
Then you will say, I may need it to cover my belongings, what I'm carrying in my handbag, for example.
All right.
And then that is an extension that is given. Okay. We also have something like courtesy car. For example, if your vehicle has an accident and then it's garage, then you can say, I will need a car at least to use for the time my vehicle is in the garage. So those are the kind of riders that we have in the motor. You can say that sometimes if like hijacking, for example, a vehicle may be hijacked and then your money is stolen, or your like ATM cards are stolen. Then somebody for one reason or the other are able to withdraw some money from your account. Then all those extensions, all those riders can be provided under the motor insurance cover. Yes.
Okay. And here someone might ask, so instead of having like this separate sort of like excesses, quote unquote, is it possible to just have that in, for example, in comprehensive insurance, right? If I decide to take that for my motor vehicle, right? Can we have all this included so that I don't have to pay, separately?
Well, that is normally done so that it is able to cater for the kind of amount of money you have. You know, we don't have the same amount of money, and that is why we have, for example, you have when you go to Tika soda, for example, we have it packed in the 250 ml, 350 ml, 500 ml. Depending on your pocket, now you can say, I'm going to buy this.
Okay.
Or I'm going to buy this soda and a snack. You know, it's like you're saying, can we put the soda and the snack together, and then we have it as a package.
Pay it as one unit.
There's somebody who will not have money for the package. They will have money for the soda only, and they are thirsty. So you just allow them to take the soda.
Yeah.
That is the wisdom there.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. And then the question on the digitization of the scene, right? The question is, first of all, what is it, and why you know, are we moving towards the digitization of the scene, and why should, you know, motorists really understand this?
If you look at the nation where we are headed, and the world as a whole, we are headed to the digital world.
Okay.
So that thinking came into the association. That was from, I think that started in 2019, 2018, 2019. Okay. That's when we started thinking of. We used to print motor insurance certificates from the UK. We bring them in and then into the country, and then they are distributed to insurance companies. And then we said, wait a minute. So if you have, for example, if I have a customer in Garissa, and I'm based here in Nairobi. So what we used to do was we issue the certificates. You know, those certificates are pre-printed. So we issue the certificates well in advance. I put them in a bus. I send them to Garissa for that person to pick them from that end. Yeah. And I had to make sure that I process those certificates very early enough so that then I'm able to send them. I will use probably the courier to send them over there. But then from that period, we thought, I think we thought we needed to digitize this issuance of certificates. So what we did, we started that process of digitizing them. And eventually, when we were in that process, just immediately we rolled that process out. Then COVID came. So there was actually a very smooth transition from the manual certificates to the digital certificates. So what happens in the digital certificate now? The certificate is issued digitally. You don't need to bring them in from the UK. You know, that was loss of foreign exchange for the country when we were importing them from that side. Now we don't import those certificates. They are digitally processed, and then they are distributed to companies and then issued digitally from where you are. So you can actually, when you're in Garissa, you can be issued with a certificate, and in the next minute you get it in Garissa. Yeah. Yes.
It's pretty much, it's very, very convenient in the same in the aspect of, you know, safety, first of all, because again, like you're saying, sending it to a courier, or sometimes I mean, whatever means that one would use might get lost, right? And a person is not able to get that on time. So let's just take a walk through the journey, right? How has it been, the uptake? Because again, we also understand, you know, internet penetration, especially in some other parts of the country, might not be as good. So the question is, in such areas, then what happens? But just walk us through the entire journey of, you know, the whole digitization process.
Well, I think, as you say, that is a challenge actually in the very rural areas is a challenge. But looking at what it was previously, it is far much better than how it used to be. For example, just as I've given, if somebody was to be issued with a certificate that was going to be sent physically to let's say a village in Garissa over there, and then now they can go to Garissa town and get it. So we have the cyber cafes in town, so they're able to print it right away from the cyber cafe. So I still think it is far much better than what used to be there. And again, and what you have alluded to, we used to have cases of student certificates. You have sent them, you have sent the branch certificate. They have no vehicle numbers because you've sent them branch to your branch in Mombasa. Somewhere in between, before they get to Mombasa, then you find those certificates are missing. Somebody did not put those certificates in a safe, properly, or they didn't lock the safe. So sometimes you may find those certificates are stolen, and then they are issued on the side. So you have fake certificates moving around, which have been issued by criminals around there. and you have no way of trying to tell whether this is a genuine certificate or is not a genuine certificate. Now when they are digitized, it is very easy for you to tell that this is a genuine certificate because they can be read directly from the system. You can be able to see, to check out whether that is a genuine certificate or not a genuine certificate.
Okay, all right, so this is where then verification comes in, right? So then, and especially for the people, you know, who might want to verify, you know, their motor insurance, right? And especially as a driver, then how do they do that?
Yeah, as a driver or as an owner of a motor vehicle, we have various methods of confirming whether a certificate is genuine.
All right.
We have an application. We have an app that is called Aki Verification App.
All right.
Aki Verification App can be downloaded directly from the App Store. So once you install that in your phone, then you're able to use that. You're able to scan. There's a QR code on the certificate that you will scan. Then you'll be put in the registration number, and then you just tap a button. There's a button that is called that is written verify. Then once you tap that button, it's going to bring you the details. It will tell you whether the certificate is expired. It will tell you whether the certificate is cancelled or whether and which company issued the certificate. It is running for what period to what period. In other words, it is going to give you the details that you find in there, that you'll see, you are able to see on the screen of the motor vehicle. So those details will be available on the app. For those people who don't have who don't have these touch phones, for what do you call them?
Smartphones.
The smartphones, yes. They have we have a code that we use. You have the *352# *352#, and then you'll be requested to key in the certificate number. The certificate number is normally at the top of that disc that you normally get, or the certificate of insurance that you get, and then you key in the registration number. After that is going to tell you whether your certificate is genuine or not genuine. Yeah. So that is what we've been trying to actually tell the people. Do this for yourself, for your own sake, because we have been having sometimes for one reason or the other, we have cases of certificates that are not genuine circulating. And what we are going to do, what we are actually doing in the next 1 week, we have a unit that is called the Insurance Fraud Investigation Unit. That unit is going to carry out a crackdown next week to just try and check out which people have got fake certificates on the road, or which people have certificates that are not correctly issued. That is just in an effort to just weed out those kind of problems from the market. It will be very bad when you have a certificate of insurance, it is cancelled, and you are thinking you have a correct certificate, and then all of a sudden when you lodge a claim, this claim is not payable because you don't have a genuine certificate. So the effort will be to try and make sure that the public have the right
genuine certificates, that they need. How much of a problem then is it? Is this? Do you see a lot of people coming, you know, whose certificates have been cancelled, you know, over time? And during the break we were talking about agents, and most of the time we see some agents who might be rogue and you know might be the ones applying this, you know, certificates that are not genuine. So do you see this a lot? And again, the digitization process, is it one of the ways of curbing, you know, menace such as this, and that is having fake certificates going around?
It's not a big problem per se, like it used to be when we had the manual certificates. When we had manual certificates, it used to be a big problem. But currently, we cannot. We're still seeing a few cases. We cannot say there are many, but we're just trying to make an assessment of how deep has the problem gone. But it's not a big problem per se as it used to be. When you look at agents are enabled to issue those motor certificates. So some few of them, we might find them extending those certificates, the period of insurance of those certificates, but it is outside the system, not within the system, outside the system, maybe in cyber cafes or something. But those certificates now, when you check from the system, you'll find that those certificates are not there in the system. So we're able to easily weed them out to say this is a genuine certificate and this one is not a genuine certificate.
All right. But then the question might be, fine, digitizing this does not guarantee that this will not happen? Because again, like we all know, there's a lot of, you know, things happening on the internet. It might be easy for someone to just go on there and do what they have to do and, you know, print out a fake certificate. So then what measures, you know, have you sort of like put in place just to make sure that, yes, we are digitizing, we're in the process, you know, of the same, but we also ensure that, you know, we guarantee that people will get genuine certificates?
What we have done, there are several steps that we have taken towards that.
Right.
One is trying to educate members of the general public, just to tell them, once you get your certificate, just verify it for yourself.
Okay.
There's nobody who is doing for you. Just verify it
verify
for
it
yourself.
Yeah.
If things become difficult, we have also indicated you can call us, or you can ask us to just verify. You can call the offices of the association just to make sure that your certificate is verified. But the best thing, or the ideal situation, is when you get your insurance, immediately just key it on your phone, then you check out whether it is a valid certificate. That way then we expect this problem to go or to reduce substantially. And we've also done a lot of training to the traffic police, so that then they're able to assist us in terms of just checking, as people go around, just checking whether people are using the correct certificates.
Absolutely.
Yes.
All right. And someone might be watching us and thinking, okay, so I'm not a car owner, I'm more of a passenger, right? How then does this process, and this is, you know, the whole aspect of verification, help them as a passenger?
Yeah, it is very, very important for you as a passenger also to just check whether that person has a genuine insurance certificate, because in the event of injury, as we said earlier, if you are injured in a motor vehicle, then you are, as long as it has a third-party cover, then you're covered, and those damages or those injuries should be paid for. So in the event that that motor vehicle doesn't have a genuine insurance certificate, you'll be left at the same place where we were saying you will follow the owner of the motor vehicle to pay you.
And we know how that process can be.
So if the vehicle is valued at 500,000, it's an old Nissan Matatu, valued at 500,000.
Right.
The injuries are supposed to be compensated at 2 million. Then you find that person does not have that money.
Right.
So we go back to the old problem that the registrators were trying to end, that the vehicle owners will not have money to compensate. Again, we now have to put them again in civil jail, which is not right. So it is also important for you also as a passenger to just confirm whether the vehicle you're traveling in has got a genuine insurance certificate. Even as much as from this other side, we're trying to say, let the owners of the vehicle confirm, it will also be good for you as a passenger to do that verification.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to imagine this scenario, because I think majority of the times you just get into a car and then that's it. You know, you go wherever you go, you arrive safely, thank God. If something happens, again, there is a... So most passengers would not really think about, you know, the verification process, because you just think either the driver or the owner of the vehicle has taken care of, you know, all of that. But I think it's interesting, you know, to have that shift that is taking responsibility for you as a passenger, just to make sure that this vehicle, the certificate has been verified, it is genuine, it has not expired, you know, all those things. All right. So then how do we strengthen that? Because knowing us as a people, we might not really, you know, it might not be a priority per se, because, I mean, see, the driver has taken care of that, or the owner has taken care of that. So how do we strengthen that sense of responsibility, you know, for the passenger as well? Yeah,
we have been trying to do that just to increase the awareness. It is true that you'll find some people, most of the people will not quite
I mean,
go and
99
do
out
that.
of 100 will not do that.
But let me say that the population that we have currently is changing. We are becoming very inquisitive, and we are becoming we are aware of our rights. And I think that change in the population that we have is going to increase that. You now see those kind of things coming up, verifying or checking by even members of the public, just checking that. So we are also trying to do a lot of awareness campaigns. We are actually rolling out a campaign together with the NTSA, which is in the coming week. We are going to run a huge campaign just to check out, to tell the people out there, even as a member of the public, even as an owner of the motor vehicle, even as a driver, because, you know, as a driver, you also supposed to take responsibility in the event that an accident occurs. So even if the vehicle is not yours, the drivers, we are also trying to tell them, don't drive these vehicles without insurance.
That's
so
true.
we're doing a massive campaign just to tell the people what should be done and their responsibility in the event of an accident.
Yeah, and like we were saying earlier on, just a sense of responsibility, both the owner, the driver, the passenger, and everybody involved. And we're also talking about like the different insurance companies that we have, right? They have their own modalities in terms of how they offer their services and all those things. But in making sure that we have like a sort of like a standardized mode of operation, really, because like we're saying, there's some people who would say, yeah, this insurance company does this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is not good. Others have been duped. Others have been, you know, there's a lot of conversations surrounding the same. So then when it comes to sort of like regulation and policy surrounding insurance, and especially motor insurance, and making sure that people get, you know, quality service that they need, what measures have been put in place? Because there's so many complaints that have been lodged, you know, as far as insurance companies.
Yeah, we have had those kind of complaints, and what we did was we came together with the insurance regulator, that is the Insurance Regulatory Authority. We came up with a standard document. Standard document means you're using a certain kind of policy that you'll be issuing to members of the public. So if you have read a policy from this company and this company, those policies should read the same, except the particulars of that vehicle. So when I look at the sum insured, that may be different, but when I go to what excess are you giving? If it is a private car, you'll find that there's a standard excess in the industry, so that we don't have this company giving this and another one giving this and another one giving this. So we came up with a standard policy, and that has been enforced in the insurance industry, so that those standards of those policies are there. So it's not a policy that you pick from. You don't need to read two different policies if you have policies from one company and another, except that bit of the changes in terms of the details and the sums insured and all that. But otherwise, the policies are now standardized. And not only for motor, even the other classes, we have standardized the policies. So everybody when they're issuing cover, then there is a template that you're supposed to issue, which is a minimum. So anything else you do, you can do something else to improve the policy, but the minimum is guaranteed and is known.
Yes. All right. But implementation of the same, how is that then guaranteed, so that we don't see this, and you know, some of this unscrupulous companies might try to sort of like hide, you know, under the policy, and yet when it comes to the implementation, again, there's a bit of an issue. So there are like penalties, maybe have their licenses revoked.
Oh yes,
you know, just to make sure that people are not duped in one way or the other.
Yeah. There are those penalties which are done by the Insurance Regulatory Authority. The Insurance Regulatory does a lot of inspections, even on-site inspections, visiting insurance companies. They will pick policies at random. Can we have a look at this? Can we have a look at this? Once you give them your policy register, then they pick policies at random just to check what are you offering, what are you giving to the public. Before you get to issue, even when you have a new product that you're offering, you have to lodge it with the regulator for purposes of saying, this is the policy I'm giving, this is the kind of premiums I'm going to charge, and this is how it is going to operate. So that then, if the regulator finds that is it covers for the public, we have a whole section, we have a whole unit of consumer protection unit at IRA, and that protects consumers in the event that there is a problem with a product, and then somebody is supposed to report to that unit. So they do on-site inspections and just checking what are people offering. Are they offering the product that they said they will offer? Is it the product that we approved? So they're able to check that and tick the boxes. If something is wrong, then penalties are imposed, and then you're told to rectify the situation.
All right. Okay. And let's talk about then the whole aspect about claims and you know, making sure that then the insurance companies you know, sort of like do not inconvenience people, because like we said earlier on, there are some cases which has dragged for years. You know, people have not been compensated, or if they are compensated, and we were discussing this during the break, is the sum that one person was supposed to get, at the end of the day, they do not get it because this has to take their share, the other person has to take their share, the other person has to take their share. So at the end of the day, you find that this person is not really getting what you know, they were supposed to get. So first of all, in reducing these delays and inconveniencing, you know, a lot of people, what are some of the measures then have? I mean, the digitization, I know, is one, you know, and all these services, but at the same time, the court cases that drag for a long time. So, you know, what are some of the measures that have been put in place just to make sure that we reduce this delay times or the inconveniencing of people?
Well, we had actually done several attempts to make sure that the public gets what they are entitled to.
All right.
And basically what we did was to come up with a structured compensation. Structured compensation means you don't have to go to court. If you lose a finger, then we know that finger is supposed to be compensated, like, let's say 60,000.
All right.
So we don't have to go for a court to determine that if you lose a hand, how much is that person going to be compensated? It's called a continental scale. So there was that scale that we had developed that could have been used, and it was passed into law. But then again, we had our legal fraternity going to court and then saying, no, this is against this is against the Constitution. There should be somebody to determine the level of compensation and all that. We had also made another attempt to make sure that when a customer is compensated in terms of injuries or that, we were pushing for a two-check system, so that we have one check issued to the advocate, one check issued to the injured party, so that there is the amounts are determined and paid immediately. But then we have now had cases, the advocates eventually went to court and they said they cannot, again, it was unconstitutional to have that representation, that payment separated. So we now still continue with that issuance of one check, and those complaints now come in terms of there are a lot of deductions that are done before the person is paid. There will be the advocate's fee, there will be some other charges, like if you are sent to go and see a doctor, all those charges are put together. So sometimes you see those customers getting less than 50% of the award. So we are still trying to push the government to tell them, look, it is the people who are losing. And if we continue like this, there is nowhere we're going to improve the insurance services. So if we are able to get that through, for example, we just say, give me my fee in one check, give the customer their check. I think that will be a breakthrough, so that people will see we are actually getting compensation from those companies. But that being the situation, then the insurance companies do not know how that money is divided. Once you give a check, let's say you give a certain advocate 1.5 million, you do not know how that money is divided, who gets what. We have no say from there. So that becomes now the role of the advocate to know how to divide that money. We have had cases of people coming to say we have not been paid, and when we check on the other side, we find the advocate has been paid. Yeah, so those cases are still there.
Yeah, but we hope that something will be done, you know, to just close that gap and ensure that people actually get, you know, the compensation that's rightfully theirs. All right. But we have to end the conversation here. Mr. William Kiema, General Insurance Manager, Association of Kenya Insurance. Thank you so much, really, for coming by today and, of course, helping us understand, you know, the whole aspect of digitization of insurance, you know, services, and, of course, this aspect empowering motorists and you as a passenger as well. Remember, we said a sense of responsibility to all the persons, whether it's the driver, whether it is the owner or the passenger. So we have to end it here. My name is Winnie Lubembe. Have yourselves a lovely day ahead. I'll see you tomorrow morning, same time, same place, right here on Your World. But until then, stay safe and God bless. Goodbye.